Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the Cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, a date with destiny. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. Now, you guys know I've been pretty bearish over the last few months, and I understand that, again, they don't make me many friends, these videos, but I will continue to say that Bitcoin, in my opinion, it is in a bear market, okay? I'm not sitting here saying it's going to be over next month or in 2 months like I was back in the summer of 2021. I do believe Bitcoin is in a bear market. And I also understand why some people don't like calling it a bear market because technically we're putting in higher lows. But, I want to talk again about a date with destiny. And we did this video back in mid-February or maybe late February, February 24th. I'll play a clip. I think that these are the most likely paths forward. It's hard for me to envision a scenario where Bitcoin is back at new all-time highs, in March or April or May or June. While I will contend it's always a possibility, and we'll put on our rally hats if it happens, I think it makes more sense to lean bearish given the circumstances that are. I mean, nothing's really changed. We're actually at the same price we were 2.5 months ago. We're still at 37K. Okay. But the problem that I see and the reason why I still lean bearish is because, mainly the Fed is very hawkish right now. Okay. The dollar is likely going to continue and extend its rally past the March 2020 and late 2016 highs. And there's a lot of evidence. There's a lot of evidence to show why, in fact, we might have a date with Destiny. Now, could Destiny stand us up? She could, right? Maybe she won't show up to the date and we won't go to the 200-week SMA. But back when I did this video, the 200-week SMA was actually, I believe you can see it right here. It was around, let me back this up some. You can see it was at 20K. So the 200-week SMA was at 20K. Where is it now? It's currently at 21.7. Okay, and we've also had wicks before to the 300-week as well. But the problem that I see right now is that historically, every single time that Bitcoin has gone below the 50-week, it has always meant going back to the 200. Every single time we go below the 50, we consolidate at the 100, we go to the 200. Okay, we drop below the 50, we consolidate around the 100, and then eventually we capitulate to the 200. And again, even during the pandemic, right? 50-week, 100, 200. We're below the 50-week here, consolidate around the 100-week, and then if we capitulate, you're looking at the 200-week SMA. Okay, I mean, I don't actually think we would go straight there. We probably would actually spend some time at the summer lows, and this will likely continue to increase. So will the 300-week SMA will continue to increase, but I understand that we'd like to see Bitcoin go higher. You guys know I would, and I mean, we've talked about cycle theory a lot, and the idea that Bitcoin could go higher in 2023. But I'm still here to tell you 2022 is not looking so good. Okay, I will remain bearish until the Fed pivots. I think we need to see the Fed pivot, or at least markets need to start pricing in them pivoting. Until then, I don't think it makes sense to assume that risk on assets are going to do well. Okay. And I look at the markets and I think, a lot of people are still holding on to the hope that we're technically putting in higher lows, right? The problem, and I tell you this from experience that I learned the hard way, okay? Higher lows don't mean anything if we're risk off. And I think we're risk off. Higher lows, rejection off the 200-day. If we go put in a lower low, it's the same exact thing, guy. It's the same thing. Don't be blind to the exact same thing. Okay, we're putting in higher lows here. This bounce off the 200-day. If it's a lower low and we come back down, maybe we bounce off the summer lows and go back up to 40 to 42K. But I'm telling you guys, this is what historically a bear market looks like for Bitcoin. I mean, it is, right? I mean, this is what it has historically looked like. So, do I think that this year is going to be a good year for Bitcoin? I at least think the next several months, I would say the next several months are likely going to remain bearish. Do I think it has to be a bear market for the entire year? Not necessarily. You could argue that Bitcoin has been in a bear market since May of 2021, really, especially from like the relative strength index perspective. But I would look at this and say, you have traditional markets in downtrends, right? You have the Nasdaq down 20 something percent from its all-time high. You have the dollar in a parabolic uptrend, right, where it could rally on up to 112 or something. How do we look at this and call it a bull market? I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you can do that. So, I know we've discussed where we would like to see Bitcoin by 2023. Maybe we'll make it there, okay? But it doesn't change the fact that in the short term, this thing is bearish. This thing is bearish, and it seems like that these higher lows are going to give out here if they already haven't, and you could argue they already have. So, if we come down to the summer lows, there's probably a decent chance we'll bounce off of those levels, somewhere around those levels, plus or minus a couple $1,000s. Okay. And if we continue to remain risk off for a while, then I feel like eventually we will go down to the 200-week moving average. So you keep that in mind. I know it's not a popular theory. I know I see the comments. People don't like it. But you have to be willing to pivot if we go risk off, right? And the Fed has pivoted from being from being dovish to being hawkish, right? They still remain hawkish, and we're still going to be raising interest rates probably for several more months, 50 basis points probably for the next couple of months, to get inflation under control. How do you prepare? How do you plan for this type of stuff? Well, you be light on altcoins, and you make sure you have a cash position. It's as simple as that. And if Bitcoin goes back down to the 200-week moving average, this would be an opportunity. And if it wicks to the 300-week, that'd be an opportunity too. But I'll tell you, for the people that tell me that Bitcoin can never go back to 30K, you're ignoring history. I mean, you are. I'm not going to sit here and be deterministic about anything other than Bitcoin trends higher with time. I do think Bitcoin trends higher with time, but it also can go lower in the short term. Okay, so if we go back down to the summer lows and we put in a lower low here from this recent uptrend, you should note that we could get a bounce, but none of this means anything until we get back above the bull market support band. And as I drew back over here with the regression bands, if we pull the regression bands back up, you can see that if we do go full on bear market, full on crypto winter, I mean, if we do something like that, then you're looking at not getting above this 20-week moving average until it gets to the fair value fit to non-bubble data, right? Which by the time that occurs, it could be at around like 25 to 30K. So if let's say the price comes down and then comes back up and gets rejected, and then we have a capitulation down, it might be here, before we get back above the 20-week moving average and start trending back up again. So please be open-minded to this possibility. The reason I say it is because otherwise you can get absolutely wrecked on altcoins in the time, during this phase if it plays out. Okay? I will continue to say that the market, as far as I can tell, is in a bear market. I understand the reason why some people say it's not, because technically we're putting in higher lows. I understand that reasoning. I also understand that in 2018, a lot of people were unwilling to call it a bear market until we had this capitulation. And by the time they finally called it a bear market, the bear market was over. So, in the same way, we're sort of putting in higher lows right now, just like we were in 2018. So people are failing to call it a bear market. If we go down to the summer lows and we go back down to say 30K, they still might not call it a bear market because of this. But then if we drop down and then they finally call it a bear market, by that point, the bear market's probably over. So, again, I hate being deterministic about things, but when the markets are risk off, the markets are risk off, and that's what we're looking at right now. So I would say the path of least resistance for Bitcoin in the short term still remains bearish for several more months, and you need to hang in there and come up with a strategy to navigate this thing as best you can. Don't mean to bring you the bad news all the time, but if the markets remain bearish, which I feel like they probably are going to for a bit longer, we gotta we got to talk about, where could we finally actually see it turn around? And some of the things you'd be looking for, you'd be looking for the dollar to slow down, for traditional markets to finally pick up the pace a little bit, and for Bitcoin to really work out some of these structural levels and to allow these longer term moving averages to slowly move higher. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, check out Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.